Welcome to our first Igyro live training demonstration. I know many of you are already using this product and maybe are not getting the functionality that we'd like. So Tim and I have decided to provide these regular training sessions to help the regular users of Gyro get maximum functionality and also to release new benefits and features that come up. And of course, we're really excited today. Tim's been working hard on integrating Gyro with Xero. Xero's bringing a lot of value to business owners in terms of functionality around the accounting. We're seeing it emerge as the dominant accounting solution for our builders, and so the integration with Igyro is very important. So we're recording this session to help future users understand how best to use the product, and also to help current users set up their integration with Xero. So Tim, if you can take us forward, and any questions, feel free to type in those that are live with us in the webinar, and Tim and I will do our best to answer those along the way. And don't be nervous about taking copious notes, because as I said, the event will be recorded and available on YouTube in the next few days. So over to you, Tim.
Great, thank you, Glenn. So yeah, as you just mentioned, we've been working hard on getting integration going between Gyro and Xero. So many previous users may also already be on Xero, so they might already have data in Xero that we need to work with as well. And some people will be starting from scratch. So today I'm just showing you what we're doing starting from scratch. This is a brand new Xero account with nothing set up in it. I've got a handful of contacts just to show how those will merge between the two systems. But I guess the first thing to take note of, I was just talking to our accountant Kirsty this morning, and she was suggesting making sure that a bookkeeper or your accountant really sits down and gets your GL account set up before any kind of integration and trying to use Xero for maintaining your accounting.
Very important, yeah.
So if we, in Xero, if we go to accounting and then go to chart of accounts. So this is a default set that we can provide to everyone after the session. So Kirsty's kindly provided these. And what she suggested is that we use a lot of cost centers in Gyro. And the best way to marry the two up is to actually have a GL account that corresponds to each cost center in the system. So very cleverly, these are set up to match a cost center. So cost center 250, for example, in Xero, you need to have a 4-digit code. So cost center 250 corresponds to the GL account for 250 in Xero. So you don't have to do that. You can use whatever system you've already got, or use your own system. But if you're starting from scratch, this might be a good way just to try and make it easy for you. All right, so that being said, off the home screen of the desktop version of Gyro, we have our cost centers under the admin panel. And these are all the cost centers that we work with inside Gyro. So the way we tell Xero and Gyro to talk together and which cost centers work with which GL accounts is to specify that in this admin section here. So for example, this council fees cost center 60 will map to the GL account 4060 in Xero. And you'll do that just by typing in this field down at the bottom here.
So Tim, this cost center structure is really important for integration between Igyro and your estimating platform as well. So you really need the three environments communicating with reference to a cost center structure like this. So you've rightly said the cost center structure is the starting point, and then set the same thing up in your accounting software, same thing up in your estimating software.
That's right. So Gyro is sort of helping with the invoicing and the reporting point of view. So your estimating package will create purchase orders based on these cost centers, and all those need to talk together. So if we've got the estimating package, Gyro and Xero all working together, everything will marry up.
Very good.
Okay, so that's just a little bit of housekeeping before you get started. So you just make sure you've got your cost centers right, your GL accounts, and that you've set all the mappings up correctly. Alrighty, so some of this additional functionality with Xero, because Xero is a cloud platform, will work better with our Gyro portal, which is also a cloud platform. So here's the Gyro portal here, and under the admin panel, there's a new option here for Xero.
Great.
Yeah, so this has never been used before. So as soon as we come in here, we'll have this connect option to connect to Xero. So when we click this, it'll prompt us to log into our Xero package. We're in the process of applying to become a partner with Xero, which means we'll get some additional functionality. But one of the limitations until that happens is that we've got a 30-minute connection to Xero. After that time, you'll have to reconnect. So it's just important to note when you're trying to synchronize the systems that that 30-minute limitation is there at this point, and you'll have to manually kick off a sync. In the future, we'll have an automatic sync to happen a few times a day.
Very good.
All right, so if I just connect that in the first instance, it'll bump us out to Xero. So I've already logged in here, so it hasn't asked for my username and password, but I'll choose the correct company from here. And there's that button there, allow access for 30 minutes. All right, once we're in, just double check that it's connected to everything that you're expecting, so that you're connecting to the right Gyro database, you're connecting to the right Xero account, and it'll tell us here when that connection expires. Now, these three other tabs at the top are really just settings to make this Xero functionality work. So to start with, we'll jump onto the settings tab. Again, just double checking that you're connected to the right Gyro company. The sync start date will just tell us when to start synchronizing transactions. So any invoices that we've received from suppliers that are already in Gyro, we won't sync anything earlier than this date. So if you wanted to start from today, like you might have already manually entered items into Gyro or into Xero, we could specify today's date, and only new items that come through from the accounts payable package will be synchronized through. Now, these two items here use job tracking and use cost center tracking. So job tracking or tracking categories are a feature of Xero. So this is working with that. So if we tick this box, the job tracking will automatically create our jobs into Xero as a tracking category. And the same will go with cost centers. Now, talking with Kirsty this morning, she's saying that if you set up your GL accounts to correspond with your cost centers, you'd probably be better off just unticking that box and not using the cost center tracking category. So Xero has a limitation where you can only have 2 tracking categories. So if we use both of these and you've already got another one in your system, one of them will fail. So I'll leave that on just for today. Now, the next piece of housekeeping here as we go to this Igyro companies. So this is all the suppliers and contact information you have in Gyro. So we'll list all of those. And on this right-hand side here, we've got a series of warnings. So these are just letting us know that we've got duplicate ABN numbers. So here, we've got all our national suppliers. So all of these Bunnings companies all happen to have the same ABN number. So in this case, it's just a bit of a warning for us. You'll see that you can see the status of these companies as well. So you can see that this one's archived. All right, Xero contacts. This will actually talk to Xero and find out what contacts are already in the system, if there's anything to synchronize back into Gyro. At this point in time, there's not.
So Tim, just for clarity, we're synchronizing obviously contacts. We're synchronizing invoice data.
That's right. So we're synchronizing job numbers as a tracking category.
Right.
Cost centers as a tracking category.
Yes.
Contacts. So contacts will be a 2-way sync. So if we edit contact details in Gyro, it will push through to Xero.
Yes.
If we edit details in Xero, it will pull back to Gyro.
Right.
And also accounts payable invoices. So anything that comes into our accounts payable system in Gyro, once it's approved, will be synchronized into Xero.
Yes, very good. So important to note that the benefits of using Gyro to manage your accounts payable is it's an environment that can read your invoices as they come in And if the right information is on the invoice, can match them to both jobs and cost centers without manually typing that data in. That can be matched if it's on the invoice, and then it can be approved in Gyro and then synced across to Xero with that information. So that functionality is not in Xero, and there's some questions around why would I need Gyro? Well, the reason is Gyro is covering the part of one of the things that's most challenging for builders. How do I read all these invoices without having a bookkeeper sitting there full time typing them in? And then how do I create an environment to approve them other than hanging on the phone for a significant period of time and having a verbal approval process, which is obviously a weak system for any business.
Yeah, so there's a bit of an audit trail with that as well. So there's that approval process. So we set up a tiered approach where a data entry person will verify the data that's gone in. So if it's been automatically captured, someone will still verify the data that they're happy with that going in.
Yes.
In the first instance, if it matches a purchase order, it'll be given to the project manager to sign off on as an approval. So if it matches the purchase order, that's fine. All we need is that project manager's approval. And as a third check, it will go through to a manager if it happens to be going over a purchase order amount.
Yeah, all things that can't be achieved in Xero. Hence the reason job management system like Gyro, and I'm not sure that there's any others in the market that can do this, Tim. It's quite unique to this job management software that it's got this level of functionality. That'd be a reason to adopt it as a solution to managing your invoice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go through quickly some of that a little bit later on in the piece. But just to continue the setup of this synchronization here, probably the very first thing you should do is click this button here, which is match company with Xero contacts. So this will try and mesh the contacts that are already in Xero and try and avoid creating any duplicates. So I'll just quickly show you back into Xero. If we go to our contacts, just before we started, I imported a few contacts into here, just so we've got some data in here to try and match up with. So we've only got 43 out of these contacts. There's a few hundred there, potentially, in Gyro. So if we click on this Match Company with Xero Contacts button, what this is doing is actually interrogating Xero, finding all the company contacts that it's got, and trying to match them with our Gyro companies based on the ABN number. So again, if we have a look through here, we've got some warnings here. So it'll tell us that we've got multiple Xero contacts here. So this one Xero contact has been used 5 times, and we'll get failures if we don't correct these. So in this instance, we really only want Bunnings New South Wales. So I'll go through and remove the rest of those. So we click on this link here. So we can edit some basic company information from the Gyro contact here. But if we unlink that Xero contact, it won't try and match through to that Bunnings New South Wales in the Xero system. So anything that's not linked from Gyro will be created in Xero as a new contact.
So Tim, if I wanted to edit, the phone number or the email address on a contact, it doesn't matter which environment I do that in?
At this stage, we haven't quite got to that point. So if we click on just this basic information here that we can edit that will synchronize between the two systems. So we'll have the company name we can change, the ABN number we can change, the GST registered status, whether it's archived. You can edit the builder's license number as well, but I don't think Xero has a field for that. And then obviously who it's connecting to here.
Yes.
So it's this information here that's synchronizing between the two systems.
Understood.
The phone numbers and bank accounts are not at this point. Not to say it might not happen in a future release.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just double check, make sure there's no more duplicate contacts in here. There's one here, so we've got 2 trend windows. So this one's archived, so I'll just unlink that one. So we'll check, make sure there's no more duplicate contacts in here. All right, looks like we're good to go. All right, so we shoot back to the Xero tab here. So this will be the first sync. So we'll click on this sync button here, start sync. And this will go into a queued state. So depending on how busy the server is and what else is happening on the day, it may take a few minutes to kick off. And the initial sync could take 3, 4, 5 minutes for a regular business. Subsequent syncs after you've done the first one will happen quite quickly. So within 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay on this page either. While you're waiting for that, you can merrily go away and look up another job and click through the system.
So Tim, just talk us back through the steps involved there. First one is, if it's a brand new Xero account, we're setting up the cost centers in the 3 environments so that they're consistent.
Well, we'll set up the cost center. Yeah, so in your estimating package, you'll have your set of cost centers. In Gyro, you'll also have a corresponding set of cost centers. And in your Xero package, what you would do is you'd set up GL accounts to correspond with those cost centers.
Yeah. So that's a manual setup in all 3 environments initially, or an import of some sort.
It is. That's right. Yeah.
And then the second step was reviewing the contacts you've got in Gyro environment and looking for what are you saying, like duplicates?
Yeah, looking for duplicates or anomalies there. You might find you've got 3 businesses that are named pretty much the same thing, and you best have to go and clean those up before you start this process. By
unlinking them or going back into business contacts and you wouldn't delete them, right? We don't want to be deleting contacts.
No, it's a bit problematic to delete contacts. If you go back into the desktop version of Gyro and start deleting contacts, there's a good chance that you've assigned them to a project somewhere else in the Gyro software.
Yeah.
So your best bet is just to archive them off. Just make sure they're not linking through to a single contact in Xero. So if you unlink them, it'll create its own copy in Xero.
Yeah.
And it won't try and the data won't conflict. So if you try and update one ABN number, it won't update the duplicate contact.
So if we were to archive them in business contacts in Gyro, that would achieve the same thing. So what you're saying?
Yeah, it will, not exactly. It will archive the contact off. That archived contact will also be synchronized into Xero to keep the 2 systems in sync.
Yeah, okay.
It should be worth noting there that there is a bit of a catch that once you do archive a contact, it'll synchronize into Xero. Xero's got a fail-safe that you can't unarchive a contact. So if you want to unarchive it, you would need to do it in Gyro as well as in the Xero system.
Yes, I see. So whether you archive it or not is irrelevant to the Xero sync. What you need to do is unlink it if it's a duplicate.
That's the best bet, yes. Unlink it.
Understood.
All right, so this sync has gone through okay. Actually didn't take too long, it was only a minute or so. Got a success indication there. So you might also see a failed status. If that's the case, we need to investigate why that's the case. So chances are if you get a failed status, probably the first thing to check is just to make sure that you haven't disconnected from Xero. Like your connection might have expired.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so now if we go and check the Gyro companies again, what will happen is that these are linked to all of the Xero contacts here. So this column on the left here is all of our Gyro contacts. The column over here is for our Xero contacts. And all of those will be named exactly the same because they've just synchronized through. Now from here, you can click into the Xero contact. So if I just open that in a new tab, this is the Xero contact now in the Xero system. So if we edit that, just for example's sake, we could just put a bit of extra text on the end of that name, and I'll save that. All right, so that change won't take effect in here. I'll just see if I can refresh that. So it updates here in Xero, but the Gyro contact won't be changed until the next sync happens.
Yes. Okay. So Tim, we've synced the contacts here. If there was invoices there, they would sync at the same time.
They would be synced at the same time as well. So all that's happening, there's 4 or 5 things that are syncing at the same time.
Yeah.
And through that process, all of those occur.
Right.
So all right, that one happened very quickly just now. So we jump back into the Gyro company section. We'll see that both of these are now named the same. All right, now if we jump back into Xero, and I'll reload the contacts. You'll see now we've got over 100 contacts in here now. Now, under Advanced, Accounting and Advanced, we have our tracking categories. I'll just show you that they synchronize through. So it's created these 2 tracking categories here, one for cost center, with all our cost centers listed, and one for job number. So it's only the active job numbers that come through. So those jobs that have reached the prelim service fee paid stage, they're the ones that can have invoices assigned, and that's why they come through.
Yes. Jobs that you're transacting money with on.
Exactly, that's right. Alrighty, so when we synchronize the invoices in, which we've had none yet, they'll turn up in this bills to pay section, and we'll bring them into the draft area. So they always come in as draft. At a later date, we could opt to bring them in fully approved, but just till everyone gets used to it, it's safest to come straight into draft so everyone can see what transactions are coming through.
Yeah.
And you might have 30 or 40 transactions in one hit, and in Xero, it's just a simple tick box, tick the whole lot and hit approve.
Will they come through saying that they're approved in the Gyro environment?
They will, yeah. So that's how they start the synchronization journey. So they won't synchronize into Xero.
If they are approved.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Yep. All right, so should be worth noting here that in the file menu, this version of Gyro is yet to be released, so that'll be out early next week. So all the Xero functionality will still work without the desktop part of this. So you can jump on straight away and start using it. But this synchronization setup here for Xero will be out next week. And this is just the synchronization screen. So it's very similar to what we saw in the Gyro portal. You've just got a start sync button. It will tell us the status of the last sync and a link to go through to work on those settings in the Gyro portal.
Very good.
So I'll quickly show you what will happen when this connection expires. It's due to expire soon, but if I disconnect that, I'll shoot back into Gyro. It will tell us that it's not connected to Xero, so you can't start a sync session. All right, so the only way to get that going again is to jump back into the portal. We'll connect to Xero. If you've got multiple companies, you'll need to choose which one. And straight away in Gyro, that should be available for you now to start sync.
Very good.
All right, now, so that one's running at the moment, won't take long. I need to wait for that one. I'll just jump into the invoices section here. So I've got no data in here, so I'll just forward through an email in a moment. What I've got here is just an edited Bunnings invoice or set of invoices, which I'll send into the account. I'll send that in. So it might take a few moments to turn up in here. But what that was is just a series of Bunnings invoices, and Bunnings tend to send through invoices in in batches. So these are all separate invoices. There's 9 of them in total. And just for our example's sake, I've just put an order number on each one of these, just so we can see how the orders will match. It'll probably take a few moments for that to come through. But what I've done here is I've set up some invoice rules to show you how Gyro can actually read these invoices, read the batch of invoices, and split them out into individual transactions. So hopefully at the end of this, what we'll end up with is 9 separate transactions with each of these invoices split out to match each one. And all this.
So Tim, just to take our listeners back one step, the reason Gyro can do the split is because Bunnings have put the detail on the invoice to match a previously received purchase order.
Yeah, that's right. So that's how it reads it. So it'll actually read the purchase order number. So I've already got a purchase order number in the system that will match that.
Yes.
So Gyro will read this. It will determine that that's the purchase order number, interrogate Gyro, match that up to the purchase order, and then it will know what job and what cost center to allocate to.
Yeah. But Bunnings would have entered that on their order because they had previously received a purchase order, so they issue the invoice with reference to that purchase order. And from that point on, the system works very smoothly.
Yeah, that's right. So the original invoice here actually had an order number just here. So that's the Bunnings original order number. So if it wasn't a demo environment, I would have just left that alone and used that particular order number instead of writing my own on top. So Bunnings have supplied an order number. All right, so it still hasn't come in yet. So it can take 5 minutes or so for it to pop in. But what that will do, it will read through not only the order number to find out what job and cost center to attach to, but it should also read the dates as well. So we'll get our invoice date. We'll bring that in, and the total at the bottom. And it will also tell us, it will tell us if the total has gone over or under our purchase order amount.
So Tim, while we're waiting for that to sync, we'll let, I've just invited our live attendees to join with any questions so far. So guys, if you do have any questions, feel free to put them through either by request or typing, whatever you're comfortable with, and Tim and I will do our best to answer those. Any questions so far?
Not seeing anything come up.
Okie doke, all straightforward. Very good.
All right, it shouldn't be too much longer. Maybe another minute. So usually you wouldn't be sitting here waiting for an email. It would just turn up overnight or through the day. You wouldn't realize how long it's taken to get there.
Yes. I see them doing that every few seconds, Tim.
New emails, yes.
No problem.
All right, here we go. Something's happened here. All right, here they come. All right, so we've got 9 separate invoices here. So each one of these are a single page. So it's actually read this document, pulled them apart, and split that out because it's identified that there's 9 invoices in there in total. So it is possible too, there's a 2-page invoice and it will recognize that and it will split that out appropriately as well.
Right.
All right, so if we look at what's happened at the top here, we can see that we've got an ordered amount and this invoice has matched that order. Now we'll pop this screen out. Generally what we do is we work on 2 screens or account staff would work on 2 screens so they can see the invoice on a large screen and plus the data entry on another one.
Yeah.
All right, we can also show the original PO. So in this case, for the test environment, I've set up a manual purchase order that it's matching to, but this could very well be something out of your estimating package as well.
Yeah.
All right. So when you're happy with that, whoever's doing the data entry will just verify that data entry. But we can see it's actually read. I'll close that again. It's read this invoice and it's found what the reference number is, what the document date is, the amount, worked out the GST, and put a nice little comment in there for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'd verify that data entry. And here's a bit of an audit trail of what's happened here. So we can see who has signed this off as or who has entered the data and at what time. And it's assigned to the next person as a project manager. So in this case, I'm the project manager for that particular job.
Tim, you've got every job in this company.
I do. Look at that, the kingpin.
Mm.
All right. So because I'm the project manager as well, I can approve this. Otherwise, that button wouldn't be enabled, and only the project manager could assign or could approve that, or a manager in the business.
Mm.
So I approve that. So I'll go through and I'll approve a couple of these. See if there's any in here we've gone over. Here we go. So this one's gone over. So we ordered 6,500, but the invoice came in at 7,000, a bit over $7,000 there. So it's just to highlight to you, how important it is to have your purchase orders sent out in your business, and that way you can see when an invoice comes in that you don't overpay something.
Mm.
All right. So in this case, you might verify that data entry. It's gone to the project manager for approval, but it won't be approved until a manager also signs that.
Yeah, manager typically being the business owner. So you might give authority to your project manager to approve something that's gone over 1 or 2 or 5% of the allowance. But if it's gone over 10%, then as a business owner, you want to be having a look at that and find out why we're paying more than the ordered amount.
All right, so we've approved a couple of those. So I've got 3 of them sitting there. They're in this approved pile. So if we sync that in, so that might take a minute or so to go through. So again, you don't have to wait for that either. You can just hit OK and continue on verifying the rest of your invoices. Running at the moment. And completed. All right, so let's jump into Xero and I'll refresh this draft section. So here are all of those invoices that we've approved and they've turned up in Xero in the draft area. And all we should need to do is, here's that box I was talking about earlier. If you tick that box, it'll tick all of those in one go. You can easily just hit the approve button to approve all of those.
Right.
Just before I do, I'll double check those. I'll click onto that one. So you can see here that it's allocated to the correct account, the GL account there. And it's assigned these tracking categories for the job number and the cost center.
Mm.
All right, that's something I haven't mentioned before as well. Each of these invoices that come in, there's also a link back to Gyro to view these invoices. So if I click on this link here, it'll bring us back to this Gyro screen and you can easily just view the invoice from there.
Well, that's clever, isn't it?
Or view the purchase order as well.
Mm.
All right, so every invoice that gets synchronized in will have that button there.
Mm.
let's see if we can approve all of those. Okay, I think what we've done here is we haven't put a due date in on each of these, which we need to do. So we could have done that back in Gyro. So we should have put in a due date into here before it synchronized through.
That's a manual entry each time, is it?
That is, yes. So that's flagged to correct that in a future version. We'll have that automatically pulled in as well.
Yeah.
So in this case, we just need to pick a due date for each of these. All right, so now we tick all of those, approve. Okay. Must have missed one. What have I got here? Okay, so this must have been a missing account. So I didn't map this particular cost center through.
Meaning that cost center wasn't on the invoice when Gyro read it.
No, the cost center was on there. So you can see that the job number in the cost center has come through as a tracking category. But I think what I've done is I've not set up a GL account in the first instance for it to map to.
Sure.
So there'd be no 350 GL account or 4350, which is exactly what's happened. So that's why that one can't be approved until we sort that out.
Yes.
So we either need to assign it to a different account or create the correct account.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the major features there.
So Tim, with Gyro being able to read scanned invoices coming into the business, it's reading PDFs, is that right? Can it read any other file format?
No, it's predominantly PDF. So it uses the PDF and can read the text on a PDF.
Yes.
It's quite problematic with Word documents and Excel documents that come in.
Yes.
So you won't even see a preview for that if that happens. So if an Excel document comes in, you can click on the open button at the bottom and that will open up in Excel for you to view the detail.
Yeah. But it's fair to say all the major suppliers where you're going to get copious invoices from are going to come in as PDFs.
Yeah, yep. That's pretty well industry standard. You'll find that most suppliers would do that.
Yeah.
You can accept images. So a JPEG image, if for some reason someone takes a photo on their phone of an invoice and sends it in, that will work, but you won't be able to read the data automatically. It will show up as a preview, but you'd manually enter the text.
Yeah. Now, equivalent optical character recognition invoice scanning products for Xero, obviously there's a large amount of those in the market. Is that fair to say?
There'd be quite a few, yes. Yep.
And they'd be obviously an additional cost to a business owner that already had access to Gyro. To be looking at another solution for that would be a mistake, given Gyro's got an environment to do that well. So that feature, Tim, have you got any idea of the costs around sourcing alternative software for that solution?
They do vary. Some of them pay or charge by invoice. It might be $1 per invoice, or it might be a monthly fee.
Yeah.
So some of them are as high as, say, $10,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Others might be a few $100s a month.
Yeah.
Depending on the feature set. So you'll probably find that a lot of them will capture the data. They might do it quite well, but you also lose that approval process and matching to your purchase orders.
Yeah. Understood.
Do we have any more questions there?
Yeah, well, let's invite our panelists or our attendees to field any more questions. You've concluded the bulk of the demonstration there, Tim.
Oh, yeah, could be fun.
Yeah, that's all I need to go through for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Any of our attendees, our live attendees, have any questions around what Tim's demonstrated there?
I want. Yeah, raise hand. What for? He explained it very well. I understand. Oop.
Do you have a question, Mike?
No.
No.
Can you? Oh no, I just accidentally hit that button. But yeah, no. What he said is pretty straightforward and makes sense to me.
Yeah. All right. Good. And Kylie says that she's understood that. All right. Well, thank you, Tim. Looks like a wonderful improvement for our Gyro users and significantly improve the ease of interfacing with Xero. And we'll, for everyone that's joined us live on Facebook and live on the webinar, we plan to, if you're interested in the functionality of Gyro, how to get the most out of it, how to use the features to the best efficiency in your building business, mark this time slot every Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock. We're going to show you both new releases for Gyro and current functionality that you may not be familiar with and may not be using entirely. And I'm sure that'll bring efficiencies into your business. And as I said, they'll also be recorded. So thanks again, Tim. Any final observations?
No, that's fine. So just stay tuned for the release early next week, which will give us that new menu item. So the Xero sync from the file menu. So yep, that'll be out next week.
Perfect.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Bye for now. Have a good weekend.